Hey guys, I'm Norb.
And I'm Mike.
And we are the Watchmen.
The men who watch and play video games.
Because like a video game, if it's on the screen, we are playing it, watching it, talking about it, and sharing our thoughts about it with you guys out there.
So that was a little foreshadowing there. Today we are going to talk about the games we're playing now. And by now, I'm kind of looking at this as in the last 10 years.
Okay. So before we jump into the games, first I just want to thank all of you out there on YouTube world who are watching us. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell because it really helps out our channel. And for everybody out there who's listening on the podcast, thank you for doing so. We appreciate that. Feel free to tell your friends about it and drop us a comment or an email just to let us know you're listening, what you like about the show, and if there's any ideas of some things you'd like us to talk about. We would love to hear from you out there. So the show is for you. So games we're playing now, or at least now, or the last 10 years. So Mike, between the two of us, you are the gamer. And so I'm going to definitely start off with you to get things rolling. I've got a few of mine, but you definitely play a lot more games than I do. So I have a feeling that you're going to be leading the charge on this one. So Mike, you can get things rolling.
Just remember, Norb, you always could play more games. There's so many games at your disposal. And if you're ever trying to figure out something new to try, you know a guy who could give you some good advice on what you might enjoy.
I know it's not a shortage of games. Trust me, it's kind of like movies or shows out there there's not a lack of choices. It's just the jumping in and saying, I'm going to do this now. It's always sometimes challenging, but I'm excited to hear what games that I probably do know and some that I probably never heard of. And it'll be fun to find out along with our audience here what you got up your sleeve.
All right. Well, and along the lines of gaming, Norb, there's, and I did not come up with this term. My friend Shane Monroe came up with this, and I'm not sure if he invented it or not, but it's a good term. It's called Twitch gaming. So there's certain types of games. There's games that you're thinking of that are we talk about that are the ones you have to get deep into them. It's an experience, a journey, a big time commitment. Then there's Twitch games. Twitch games are the kind that you can just pick up, play for 10 minutes, get a fix, quit, be good, pick it up whenever you want. And maybe that's the kind of game that might be something you could try. And the first game I'm going to talk about is in a way kind of a Twitch game. It's called Gwent, the Witcher card game. And I've done some Gwent videos that even exist on our channel. It's a free-to-play digital collectible card game made by a company called CD Projekt Red. And they made a game that I'm also going to talk about later called The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, which really Gwent came out of that, so to speak, and I'll elaborate on that later. You can play Gwent on the PS4, the Xbox One, or the PC, or your Android phone, or your iPhone, which is cool. You can play it anywhere, and you have a free account with Good Old Games. That's all you have to do is set that up, and you can start playing. And I will say that I tend to avoid free-to-play games because the term for free-to-play that gamers call it is pay-to-win. That's what gamers call free-to-play games because, of course, you're going to put some money into it at some point if you want to. But as I've played Gwent, I have learned you truly can play Gwent and get good at Gwent without spending any money. If you want to spend money in Gwent, it can do two things for you. It can accelerate your ability to get more interesting cards quicker, which is not a requirement, or money can buy you vanity items. And vanity items are ways to decorate your cards or the characters that sit on the playfield when you're playing and give them different outfits. It's really the Fortnite approach. That's how Fortnite works. Fortnite's free to play, but the money you spend is on outfits looking cool.
Right.
And I'm good with that because really what it means is if you want to spend money to look cool, you can. If you want to spend money to get some different cards quicker, you can. But it doesn't mean if you don't spend money, you can't be good at it. And I like that. So I highly recommend Gwent as something to do because, and again, other gamers I know, when I tell them about Gwent, they said, oh, that's pay to win, isn't it? And right away, condescending tone. And I try to say, no, it's not, but I can tell they're already convinced it is. And I thought, well, it's too bad because I guess sometimes you have to get into something to learn what it is. But, you know, Norb, thinking about Gwent, I was thinking about this the other day. Gwent has been such an experience for me because it is so different than the typical games I tend to play, which tend to be shooters, role-playing games, exploration type stuff. You know, whether you got guns or swords, you know, I like puzzles, stealth. Gwent is a strategy-based card game that you play against real opponents. Always. You never play the computer. Always real people out there in the world. And playing other human beings is a whole different experience in itself from when you play the computer. And I challenged myself to try to succeed at getting good at this game because it was something I wasn't comfortable with. Meaning I have friends that are really good strategic thinkers. They play a lot of board games. They're good at it. And if you play board games, you have to be a good strategic thinker. Even when we grew up, you know, whether you're playing Sorry or Scrabble or the Star Wars Escape the Death Star game, there's strategic thinking involved, even if you're just playing cards, poker. So this is a game where you play cards, but the cards have powers. They have different points, and you can war with other people's cards. You can destroy them. You can kind of basically secure them. And it's 3 rounds, and there's a strategy sometimes to pass on a round to play later. And there are so many cards that you can eventually get that do all kinds of different things. You can build decks based on strengths, and it has been so much fun. And what I want to share with you, Norb, though, is that I've realized there's the world of esports. Esports is a term. Do you know what esports means? If I say esports,
electronic sports. Is that the for video games? Is like a competitive sport out there?
Exactly.
They actually make a whole. People make money as professionals doing it, right? Isn't that what you mean?
Like Dota, right? Defense of the Ancients. Esports is a term for competitive gaming, where you play for money, you play for power, for glory, for being the best in the world. It's a form of sports. It's just, I guess you could say, electronic sports or gaming sports. But Gwent has its own esport competition. The best Gwent players in the world play for money in big tournaments.
Okay.
And I have played some darn good opponents. And the way Gwent works is you have a ranking and an experience. And your rank is based on how many times you win and lose. Your experience just is based on how much you play. So as you gain experience, it can give you rewards to help unlock cards. But your rank is who the game will put you against. So right now I have a rank of 13. And so whenever I play a match, it's putting me against another 13 ranked person, which is good because when you start out and you're at a 1, they'll put you against a 1. So that's another reason.
Low. One's like the lowest.
Yeah, that's your beginning. That's how, it starts at 1 and goes
I thought
up.
1 was
the
like
opposite
top.
of what
Okay,
you think.
got it.
No.
Okay, all right.
No, the ranking goes very high.
Okay.
So
you moved up to 13.
So I play against other players that are as good as me. And what I learned is when I started playing, I could win more matches based on playing people that didn't know what they were doing, even when I didn't know what I was doing. But now when I play, I am usually playing against much smarter opponents. And I have had to readjust even the way I play because the old ways don't work anymore. All these little tricks I could do, I get my ass handed to me. Time and time again, I make one mistake and someone will come in for the kill and just destroy me. And it's infuriating, Norb. I mean, you'll laugh. There's times I start kind of shouting at the screen because I'm pissed that I made a mistake and they're basically destroying me and I have to watch. And it's like a sporting event. It's like losing a football game. Sometimes I get so frustrated, and sometimes I've come back at the end to barely win. There's a video on our page where I did just that. I won in the final stretch. But the last thing I'm going to say about this is really a compliment to a certain type of opponent. And I say this in all respect to Asians. But when you play an opponent, they always have a username. So I'm Dirk182. So a lot of times I'll play an opponent and their name will be like, Smash Bunny 12, or or, Richter 6. I mean, whatever, random names. But whenever I have to play opponent and their name is entirely in Asian characters, they are twice as good, I swear. They are, and I don't know what it is, but the one thing I do see is in the big national tournaments, it's usually Chinese teams or other Asian group teams that seem to be the best in the world. And I don't know what it is in the Asian culture, but Norb, your folks are really intelligent, smart thinking card players. And whenever I play an Asian opponent, I usually lose. And it makes me try harder. So,
well, I'm not Chinese and I don't play this game, so I'm not sure what the special trait is. But I don't know if it's a Chinese thing or Asian in general. But that is interesting, isn't it? I know that. Yeah. I remember when you did videotaping for that Dota show that was done locally here. I think I know at least one of the teams was all Asian.
Was all we did a story on a Chinese team and how they've given their life to gaming. That all they do is play these games all day. It's like practicing.
That's their money maker. Yeah,
that's how because there's millions of dollars on the line. It's another form of professional sports.
Wild.
But I will never be at that level. What I strive for is just to win some matches and maybe win more than I lose. And the other funny part of Gwent, Norb, that I think you could relate to because of your love of sports, that I find is a slight psychological thing, at least I've made it that, is at the end of a Gwent game, you have a choice to click on a GG button. You know what GG means?
Good game.
Good game. So if you click on the GG button, you're basically saying good game to your opponent, and by giving them a GG, they get 5 card crafting points. And as you build card crafting points, that's how you can make new cards. So you're encouraged to GG because the more you do it, you're helping others.
And by giving a GG, you don't lose anything in the process either, right?
No.
It's just kind of free goodness that you're giving,
right.
Free goodwill. Okay.
But there is nothing more infuriating when I play an opponent and they beat me and I send them a GG and they don't send me one.
Oh.
It's like I extended my hand to shake their hand at the end of the match when I lost. And instead of them shaking my hand, they put their hand behind their head and walk off.
What does that mean if they do that?
Well, to me, what it means is they're basically saying, I kicked your ass and you're not even worth giving a GG. And it's irritating. It's infuriating. And so I've adopted my own strategy is if I lose, I will not GG until I get one first. Because too many times I've GG'd when I've lost and I don't get one back and it just makes me mad. Because I'm already mad that I lost.
So is it usually the people who win that don't GG you? What about when you win and the other person loses? Do the losers not GG you as well?
No, plenty of losers have GG'd me right away. So
it's more of the winners, like they're too good to GG you. Like, you were so easy to beat. I'm not even give you the credit of that because you were such a loser.
Yeah, that's what it makes me feel like. And it's interesting to have that psychological side of it. It's not even the game itself. It's just, it's really that psychological part of shaking your opponent's hand after a match. And I figured you could relate to that because we go through that with sports. It's like when you lose a volleyball match and you're mad. I mean, sometimes you're probably not thrilled about shaking hands with the other team, right? You'd rather just leave.
Yeah. But you have to do it. It's a sportsmanship thing. But yeah, I guess that's it. It's a sportsmanship deal.
But how would you feel like if you lost and you reached your hand and that person on the other side psyched you and didn't shake? I mean, it just pissed you off.
Yeah, it'd be pretty. It'd be pretty annoying. Plus, you got a team, so if somebody saw it, you have a whole bunch of people going, "What's his problem?" One-on-one, I guess, is a different deal. But interesting. It's the unspoken rules, the code of conduct
That's right.
Between gamers. So I don't know, not having played it, not really understanding how it works. Does this have anything to do with if you're a good poker player, you're going to be good at this? Like, are you a good poker player?
I was a terrible poker player.
So terrible poker play has nothing to do with this. You don't have to try to bluff anybody.
Yeah, sometimes there's not really bluffing in this game. You can sometimes throw a card out hoping that they'll think you're going to do a play and that they might play a card thinking you're going to do something and then you surprise them. So there's a little of that. I guess you could kind of call that a bluff. But poker I never was good at poker. I couldn't get into it. This game involves a lot of strategic thinking. It really comes down to what you get drawn in your hand and what you see them doing, and really learning what all cards do. And sometimes I will have a great game going and I'll play one card I shouldn't have, and they'll capitalize on that card. And next thing you know, I'm losing. And then I'm just kicking myself going, then it's more of a practice in learning from your mistakes. I have learned from a lot of mistakes. And sometimes someone's thrown a card at me that I'm thinking, dang, I didn't know about that card. And then I'll put that on my list of cards I would like to have myself. So, but the great thing about Gwent is a typical game is about 15 minutes. And so sometimes I'll log in and just play one game. And so I had 15 minutes of sometimes I'll do it when I'm rendering a file or something. And it's just a way to pass the time.
This fits the Twitch description then?
I think so.
Shane describes, since you can get it done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's unless you're going for world champion of the world, then you probably better be playing a lot. But
so what would the world champion ranking be if 1 is worst, 15 is, or 13? You said you're at?
Yeah, it's tricky because the way they do it is I think it goes up to 60. But then when you hit 60, you get a special notch next to your 60 and you start over at 1. But then it's 1 with a gold notch. I don't remember how they do it. So there's there's ranks within the ranks. It gets deep.
No, that gets complicated. It's not as easy as just saying, I'm number 1, I'm number 452. It's I'm 1C. I'm 5 Delta or something. So you're 13.
I'm a 13 rank.
Long road to climb.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I keep wondering when I might go to 14, but unfortunately, right now I'm probably only winning about 40% of my matches. So
competition's tough.
It is, and I have to go back and try to figure out what am I doing wrong, or how can I change my deck to make it stronger. And it's tricky because there are so many different types of attacks you can have, and so I try to build decks that allow me to combat anything someone else is doing, but it comes down to sometimes how they draw. So I like that random element. It doesn't make a guaranteed win for anyone.
Right. It's always the luck of the draw of the cards.
It's been a lot of fun. They just released a new expansion today called Master Mirror that they've introduced, I think, 70 new cards. So I'm excited to see what the new ones do and start to work with those. And so I wanted to talk about Gwent first, just in case people drop off later in the video. At least they heard me talking about Gwent.
And if you want to see it in action, you can watch one of our other videos, watch Mike play a sample version of Gwent and see how a game actually plays out with him being victorious. Have you only done the one, or did you do a second?
I did
follow-up?
2. One of them I win, one of them I lose.
Okay. All right. So you can see both sides of his frustration and victorious scale.
There's definitely the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And a couple times I've had some awesome come from behind wins, and I was thinking, God, I should have been recording this one. This would have been a great one to put up there to show how I came from behind. But just got through.
Yeah, you never know when that moment of greatness is going to come, and sometimes you're just not hitting record when it does.
Yep. So what do you got?
All right. Well, like I said earlier, I don't have much of a list here. These are pretty middle of the road games that a lot of people play, but it is what it is. So I'll start with a game that I'm not really playing this that much. It's just one of the games I have played, and I plan to get more involved in it here in the next few months, hopefully. And of course, that is the Madden NFL game. Most of you all know this, and if you're any kind of an NFL sports fanatic. So known as John Madden Football until 1993, it's an American football video game series developed by EA Tiburon for EA Sports. It is named after Pro Football Hall of Fame coach and commentator John Madden and has sold more than 130 million copies. It also currently is the only officially licensed NFL video game and has influenced many players and coaches of the physical sport. Among the game's features are detailed playbooks and player statistics and voice commentary in the style of a real NFL television broadcast. As of, well, this is dated, man. As of 2013, the franchise has generated over $4 billion in sales. Okay, I need to check my facts. Okay, so 7 years ago, this had made $4 billion in sales. So needless to say, I'm sure it's a lot higher now. But But NFL, I've kind of just had some brushes with this. I've never really gone all the way in, so I can't really say I even know this game that well. I think the last time I played it was when it was 2017, but I do want to jump into it and get the latest version of it. But I'm a big Seahawks fan, as most people know, and so I've been playing different football sports games since the 80s, and it really is amazing is how good this game has become in terms of the action simulation. They've done such a good job of creating the movements and the camera switching that every year it just seems to get a little closer to where you feel like you watch about 5 seconds and you're not sure if you're watching a video game or watching a real football broadcast. It's that good from the sound and the movements and everything like that. So, and there's more aspects to it where you can do leagues and do drafts, and I've never even done that level, which is something I do want to get into, especially in this unknown season that we're going into where we might not even have a football season. This might be my football season, is simulating one in NFL Madden. So the little bits I've played, sometimes half the time I feel like I don't know if I'm controlling the guy or not. I think I'm controlling a guy, and I don't know if it's the computer making the tackle or me, but I love playing it, and the few times I have, but I'm excited to jump more into this. And I think the funniest thing about this is that it's named after John Madden, but I don't think Madden's voice has been on this thing in years. I don't remember the last time he actually had his voice. He's not even anything to do with this game except the name on the cover. It's just become, talk about a branding genius. John Madden is making money, I'm sure, for the use of his name and likeness and everything. He gets a piece of it, but he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to come in and do more voiceover because he's not at all involved in, not even his picture. It's just his name. What a great deal for him.
Yeah, they should call it Wilson 2020.
Well, and there's a whole thing about they already have the jinx, the Madden jinx rumor that's out there that once you get on the cover of Madden, your career goes downhill. And there's been a couple times when. There have been some times when they've had a player on there and something bad happened to him the next year. So sometimes they made that tie-in. Look at Richard Sherman. He was on the cover back in 2014, and then we had Super Bowl 49, and then he tears his Achilles and goes to the 49ers. So I don't know if you consider that a jinx or not. But Tom Brady was on there, Rob Gronkowski was on there, and those guys are doing just fine. So still playing, in fact, this year, reuniting in Tampa Bay. So there's just a lot of fun side things to the whole thing. But I'm excited to get into this. Obviously, I just love football, and the few times I've played it, it's been a blast, and it looks amazing. Every year, it's just some little bits of improvements on it. But so it's a game I haven't played in a while, but I am definitely ready to pick it back up. And I think the next version of 2021, I think, comes out in August. So it's just around the corner. So can't wait till that comes out. Hopefully I'll be able to sit down and play it.
Being a gamer, I respect all games. And I have wanted to really try to get into a sports game because it's the one, I've tried some tennis, I tried basketball, and I've tried the football. And the hard thing about Madden for me is when I start playing it, I realize it's very complicated. There are all kinds of button combinations you have to learn and I just think to myself, I can't just pick this up and play a football game. If I want to be good at this, it's an investment.
Right.
A big time commitment, and I haven't been able to do that. How are you at this point in that? Do you feel like...
No, I'm not. I feel like I'm far from that. I'm elementary school level as far as experience. I know I can run plays, but as far as being good where you can do things and kind of know exactly how to make a guy do a certain move, that's not second nature. And I think that's the worst thing about when you have to learn a game, and why I think it's hard for me to just pick up a game, is because you got to get past I'm going to learn how to play this, and you want to just enjoy the game and just start doing it. And we'll probably talk about it in a little bit. But about this other game that you and I started doing, that when you first start, like any activity or game or software that you're using, there's that learning curve. And once you have to go past the learning curve to where you're not just know how to do the buttons, but you actually can do it without looking and thinking, and you're just like reflex. It's just like breathing. You just go, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And that just comes with experience, with time, practice. And then you just are, you try to get as good as you can once you're past the controls point. But isn't that frustrating? I don't know what stage that would be in the learning, but from 0 to that first 30%, 50% of just trying to know what to do. It takes
it's
a
not
while.
Sports talk football.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
even
that,
I can play sports talk football. It's like pick a play, just hit the button to pass, and
even there's techniques that you gotta know. Like, do you hold the button down or just tap it? Little things that give you the edge. And but the more complicated the games, the more difficult the entry into being good at them are. And I think that's why it's always the turn off part with starting a new game, is knowing that, oh man, this looks like a lot of fun, but I'm going to have to spend weeks getting to a point where I can be good and enjoy myself, as opposed to struggling on just trying to remember what controls do what and learning how the game works. I think that's the big challenge. These games are so complicated and there's so many levels to the world of what you can do that it takes that much longer to figure it out. It's not like Pong. Oh, move left and right, I got it. It's so much more in depth. So that's the challenge I see. Why it's hard for me to get into all these different games, because it's a big upfront investment. But this is one I've dabbled enough with it, and I love the sport too much that I've got to get good enough that I can actually have some competitive matches with at least mid-level players and have a good time. I just don't want to go out there and get my butt kicked. So that's my goal anyway with my next round.
My advice to you there is, I think you should expect to get your butt kicked, but you'll learn from it. Because Gwent was similar. Gwent has a high learning curve. I should have said that earlier. You can't just start playing. You start playing Gwent, but you realize really quickly there's a lot of cards that do things you don't understand. And I had to work through that. And it was frustrating. At times I'd get cards played and it says, this card has harmony. And I'm thinking, what the heck is harmony? And I'm reading it. It says harmony is when you play a card of like value but different class. I'm thinking, what the heck? Now I get it.
I have no idea what that means.
Now I get it. But at the time though, I'm reading that trying to understand. In the meantime, my timer's running down and I got to play a card. And it is hard. It is hard.
Tough.
The few friends I got to play Gwent, most of them have fallen by the wayside because they couldn't get through the learning curve. I could hear it in their voice. They were too frustrated. And I think playing Madden, I know if I tried to play it, it's one thing to play the computer, but you really want to play other people. And that's the kind of game that the fun is, I think, playing someone else. I mean, I would say to you is just be okay with getting your butt kicked a little bit, but just know you'll learn from it.
Oh, yeah. No, I would expect it. But I want to get to the point where I can actually have fun and it can be competitive. Yeah, that's the goal. I don't have to dominate. I don't need to win some championship, but it'd be fun just to know I can play. I can hang with typical players and have a good time going back and forth. Nobody wants to watch a 43-8 blowout unless you're the one doing the blowing out.
Well, I would love to see you get to that point, because then that's the kind of game it's fun to watch someone play. Yeah. I mean, like I could be a spectator and watch you play a game against someone, and I would enjoy that, because if you're good, even if you lose, if you know what you're doing, it's just fun to watch someone do something that you don't understand, but they clearly know what they're doing.
I think whether it's a sport of any kind or a game, just like with volleyball, it's for me, I've been playing it for a long time. I'm not great. I'm just pretty good. A lot of players better than me, but I'm better than a lot of players out there. But I like to be able to know I can go out there and I know what I'm doing. I know what to do in certain situations. It's a matter of just executing your best of your ability. And when you get to that point, you kind of know, well, this is as good as I am. So I just want to play as good as I can play. And I know I'll miss one. I'll make a mistake. I'll go, I should have done left and should have right and all that kind of stuff. But that's where it's fun. That's where you're just playing the game and you're just hoping you can beat somebody on that day. But if you're still trying to remember, now, do I push this button? Oh, crap, I forgot. I was supposed to be this button. That's where it's still aggravating, because you don't even know how to walk and move and shoot and do all those things without having to think about what button's doing what. So that's anytime you can get to any level of that where you can just do it, play it, and just have fun competing. That's a great time. So we'll see.
Technically, when I look technically at those sports games, like whether it's football or basketball or soccer, what I'm always studying is when they're running or switching positions, like juking to the left and right, I'm always watching their feet. Because in video games, their feet, sometimes their feet will slide. And that takes me out of the realism when I see them running, but their feet aren't firmly planting.
Oh, you're
on
just
the
talking
ground.
about the realism of the graphics, right?
Especially in basketball. Like, watch a basketball video game. Just watch some video of it and watch the guys. When you play basketball, you do a lot of switching directions, a lot of very complicated moves with your arms and legs. And the basketball players in these video games, watch their feet and see how well their feet stay planted when they're moving around. And usually they still are sliding a little bit. So that's my gauge. When are they going to hit the point where the feet always are planted when they're running or moving or dodging or even tackling? Sometimes when you see a tackle in a football game, it's like there's this weird, unrealistic way the body kind of slides a little bit when it hits the ground.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as good as the movement has gotten, there's still little giveaways where you can tell that something's not quite smooth. There's the transition between the run to this move, and it just isn't quite natural. Why your brain tells you this is not the real thing. Maybe someday they'll get to that point where you just cannot discern the difference, and that would be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's there's those little giveaways. But when you consider how good it is now, it is fun to watch because you can watch it and just appreciate what's happening because it looks like a real game. So it's pretty amazing. I would have loved to be able to go back in time and show myself 40 years ago, hey, want to see a sneak peek at what video games are going to look like 40 years from now?
Yeah.
You're an old guy. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait 30 years for that. That's too good.
No more. It's beginning to snow.
Yeah, and that was only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But how far it's come. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I would like to watch you play Madden sometime, so keep at it. So then,
well, my goal is, because I did one against the computer. I simulated Super Bowl 51 when it was the Patriots against the Atlanta Falcons, and I was playing the Falcons because, of course, I needed to beat the Patriots. And in my simulated game, I only had one play that was working. It was passing to Julio Jones, the same play over and over again. And finally, I went to the well too many times and threw it to him and got intercepted and lost the game to the Patriots. It was the computer at the time. So, and in the end, the Patriots did end up winning that Super Bowl, not in the same fashion that I did, but they did win. So that was kind of that was my first attempt to do something like an online playing. But I want to get to a point where I can actually do it on my channel, play some players live, and have it be the video, and it'd be entertaining enough that people would actually want to watch it because it's actually good. So that's the ultimate goal. So keep you informed.
I'm down. You got a fan, man. I'd like to watch you too.
I think it'd be fun.
for me.
I'm pretty fun watching just Seahawks play. If I could watch be on camera playing the Seahawks and being in control of the game, I'm sure the emotions will be quite extreme. So,
well, the fact that this fall's football season is in jeopardy, and it seems to be that all fingers are pointing to no season, maybe this would be something. Maybe this could help you focus to think that, well, if there's no season, then I can have a season. That's kind
of what I'm preparing for. Is that this could be the pseudo replacement season if we can't do a real one, if things don't improve enough for the games to go on. So this would be the next best thing for me. So. Yeah, we shall find out, but I'm definitely going to pick it up and jump into it once the 2020 version comes out.
So the next game on my list, I have a feeling you're going to mention it, so I'm going to skip it and go to something else. So another game on my list is from 2011. It's called The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which is, for many years, I said the best RPG, which RPG stands for role-playing game, the best RPG ever made. It's an action RPG playable from a first to third person perspective. You can freely roam over the land of Skyrim, which is an open world environment. It's got wilderness, dungeons, caves, cities, towns, fortresses, people. You can ride horses, you can catch rides. Eventually you can do other things that I will not mention to get around, which, just in case someone wants to play and not know what happens, I'm trying to be a little, be mindful of that. The world is populated by NPCs. Norb, do you know what NPC stands for?
I think I do. Is it basically the robot-controlled regular people, civilians out there?
That's right. Just
I forgot the acronym though, because I know that's what that movie coming out with Ryan Reynolds is about.
That's right.
But I forgot the name of I forgot what that means.
Means non-player character.
Non-player character. Okay, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Yes. NPC.
So Skyrim was released on a kind of a cool day. It was released on 11/11/11. November 11th, 2011, which is in itself something that I think they made a good decision there, because I will never forget that 11/11/11 was the day that Skyrim came out, and I picked it up for my PlayStation 3. I had some friends over that night and we played, and I remember one of the first thing my friend says, "Why the hell did you buy this game for the PlayStation 3 and not for the PC?" And I said, I don't know. I think I was just in a console gaming frame of mind, and what I did not realize is that was probably the stupidest, worst mistake I ever made, was to get the PlayStation 3 version of Skyrim. Because what happened is after the game had been out about a month, on all the forums, people were talking about that the PlayStation 3 version of Skyrim was the worst version of the game, and it was developing a bug where the further you got in the game, the bigger your save file got, the more corrupt it got, and eventually it could take 15 minutes to load your save.
Oh my gosh.
And when you'd leave a room and go into a room, it would take 5 to 10 minutes to even just load an area. And I was reading about it, and they were saying that when your save file hits this size, you're probably going to start to notice a slowdown. And I kept thinking, I hope that doesn't happen to me. Well, it happened to me. So after putting 40, 50 hours in the game, I gave it up and got the PC version, because it was over. It was sucked. And you know, what really sucked is they couldn't fix it.
Yeah, usually they get a patch and stuff for that kind of thing.
And you know, politically, things like this happen. It's like, again, gaming companies can be just as bad as anyone. They won't publicly admit there's a problem. They don't want to do it, because if they admit it, then they're afraid everyone's going to want a refund, or they're going to get sued. And so they're very careful politically about what they say is wrong. And so it sucked, you know, and Bethesda's a great company. I mean, again, Skyrim is one of the greatest RPGs ever made, but I was very unhappy with the PlayStation 3 port. There's nothing to do for the game itself. It was just the port. So I switched over to the PC and everything was great. And then I played the game, through the end of the main quest, and there's still plenty of quests I didn't get to, but I put a ton of time into that game. And the great thing about an RPG, it's kind of your own experience. And it still blows my mind, Norb, about how they make these tons of quests, and every quest has characters you talk to, which means they had an actor come in and voice those lines, and someone wrote the dialogue. And we're talking thousands of quests. And, you know, you and I talk about, we'll bring someone in the booth and record them for 30 minutes, you know, for a 2-minute video. I mean, imagine if you had to record hundreds of actors playing multiple characters where they change their voice and accent to try to be different characters. I mean, imagine the pages of dialogue to get through.
Yeah, no, it blows my mind in some of the games I have played, just how random little things that just have to pop up at some point in a very even spotlight kind of way. It's just a side comment when you walk by somebody. Somebody had to think of what they were going to say and record that. And yeah, the organizational script that has to be put together for that must just be bizarre and overwhelming to think of how you track all that to make sure you have every little line of dialogue and grunts and groans and moans and screams and all that, how that all gets figured in the library that triggers it all. It's fascinating in games like that, but it's pretty cool.
Yep. Skyrim for many years after 2011 was I said the best RPG ever made, but it was beaten out by something else just ever so slightly, which I will save for the next topic once you've talked about something. So
okay.
All right.
Well, okay. I wonder. You said you were saving it. I don't know what you skipped to talk about, but I'm going to go with my next game, and I'll find out if this is the one you were talking about. But this is one of the games that I don't play it often, but I always play it one concentrated time of the year. Is this the game that you're talking about, Mike?
No, it's the other game that we played together.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll get that later then. Yeah. Okay, so I'm talking about the game Halo. Halo is an old classic now. It's been around a long time.
I've played Halo, sure.
Yeah, I know you played it too, but I know a lot of people out there. But I think it's considered sort of an older game now.
Well, Halo is from the 90s, so...
Yeah, but I mean, we're still playing it. I'm still playing it.
Okay, you're right. We're still playing it. Yep, you're right.
So, and we said the title of the show is Games We're Playing, and so I'm still playing it. So Halo, a very brief synopsis. Halo is an American military science fiction media franchise centered on a series of video games managed and developed by 343 Industries, a division of Xbox Game Studios. Halo was originally created and developed by Bungie. The original trilogy centered on an interstellar war between humanity and an alliance of aliens known as the Covenant. And since then, I can't remember how many Halos there were since then. There's 1, 2, and we've gotten to like 7. Mike, you're the expert on how many Halos that we've had now, but
the next Halo would be Halo 6.
6, okay, so
yeah, that's coming out next year, I think, or it might be launched with the new Xbox this December. So,
all right. All I know is that we play the collection. What's the version that we play?
The Master Chief Collection.
Master Chief Collection, and so I think this is a rare game where for pretty much 361 days out of the year, I don't touch this game. But for 4 days out of a year, in that one time a year around April, I get together with Mike, Dino, Jim, Wayne, Rob, and hopefully Dino again, for our once a year guys trip. It's the reuniting of all of the roommates that we used to live together back up in our house in the University District area. And we do our one weekend, it's extended weekends, like 4 days. But we get together, hang out, so we can just be dudes for a little while, like bachelors all over again. We rent a house and we bring our Xboxes and TVs up and we create a huge networked station of Xboxes and we play Halo pretty much the entire weekend. And so this is the one game that outside of those 4 days, I really don't touch it. It just sits on the shelf collecting dust. But for those 4 days, I get to relearn the game and go, what is this? How do you do this button again? And get reacclimated. And we spend a good 4 days straight killing each other in just one-on-one or just in a group death match.
And to be specific, there's 2 parts of the game. There's the campaign and there's multiplayer. And we just play the multiplayer.
We don't play the campaign. No, we don't do it. And there's multiple versions of games you can play in a multiplayer. We only play one, and that's standard deathmatch where you don't team up. We don't capture any flags.
No radar.
No radars. No last man standing. It's just one person. You're one guy, and you kill everybody else and try to get to 25 kills before everybody else does. And we have been doing this trip and this ritual for, since like the mid 2000s, right? So we're going on like 15 years of consistently doing this trip. And hopefully we'll keep doing it for another 15 until none of us are around anymore.
Well, historically, Halo has a special place in history because Halo really created the local multiplayer party where you would get together with friends and connect your Xboxes and play in the same room. That was a new concept, and it really was done by Halo, and we did it. I mean, we started. We were part of that history. Doing multiplayer. Yes, right. We were doing multiplayer stuff. We talked about this in an earlier show, talking about games from the 90s. And we had discussed how we started doing network gaming and games like Doom and Quake, and so we were doing multiplayer. But to do one where we returned to the console and we're multiplayer on a console, that definitely was an Xbox first. And it first started out where we were just playing it all 4 people on one screen, so we had to share a TV and split up into 4 quadrants, and each person had a quadrant, and that's how you played the game until it got to a point where you could actually link up Xboxes, and that's just how we do it now, where we have one player, one box, sometimes 2 players share, but we all have our own screens, and so it's a lot of fun, a lot of trash talking late into the night, and it's a source of tremendous joy for all of us as we look forward to every year for our little getaway. Our Halo trash talk, Halo game. While Mac doesn't play, our buddy Mac, he doesn't play the game. He records and transcribes all the great trash talk
sayings that we have during the courses of these games, and then he puts it all in a nice little compilation known as the Sample Bible. And we have just multiple editions of sample Bibles with these great trash talking lines that bring great joy years later when we read them. So it's a little sneak peek into our crazy little world, but for 4 days a year, we bust out the Xbox Ones and the Halos and go to town. And that's kind of been it. I guess until the next game system or Halo version comes out that knocks this one off, this has kind of been the go-to for a while. And who knows when that change will go.
What's interesting is we play the Master Chief Collection, which is really, we play levels from Halo 1, 2, and 3. But Halo favorites. 4 and 5, we've tried to play some of those, but we always go back to our favorites. And so the new Halo, it's always, I think, well, maybe there'll be, I don't know.
Some cool
it's just
map, yeah.
Funny how we just like, it's like Warrior Stadium. We just, we got Blood Gulch. There's just nothing better.
Yep, it's just something. We just played so many times on those worlds, and we just know it so well that it's just fun. And that's the whole thing. Now we're at the level where we're all as good as we're going to be because none of us practice or anything. So we don't have to think about what buttons we're playing, but there's definitely a hierarchy as to who the best players are and who's cannon fodder. And there's like you, me, and Jim's pretty much the best guy, consistently probably wins the most. You and I and him tend to sort of switch around.
We take turns.
Someone will get, lucky and it'll shift around there. And then there's everybody else. And they kind of
the funny thing is everybody else is perfectly happy being fodder. They find joy in being moving targets.
Yep. And
their joy is taking someone out because they got taken out by someone going after them. It's like an assist. They're happy with an assist. They're happy to cause someone else a mess up.
And there's no such thing as a cheap kill. Even if somebody's got their back turned, they had no idea that you just appeared behind them, and you come in there and shoot them in the back of the head and not even get to put up a fight, it doesn't matter. They're perfectly happy with the cheapest kills as well as the coolest kills. The coolest kills are the ones you get to brag about, though, and talk about and whoop and get in someone's face about how cool it was that you shot them out of the sky in some kind of vehicle and what a great shot that was. So
I wish some of those could be cataloged as like just those moments could be a replay that we could save as a little video file and play back just to live in the glory of that moment. Like, winning in Warrior Stadium at the last second or something.
In a perfect world, we have a record of the game and have a record of the talking in the room, so we could have the best of not just what happened, but how we all reacted to it. That would be in a perfect world a great way to document it. But for now, there's Mac and his paper, or his
which is good
phone, which works just as good, almost as good. We just can't see the game. But yes, so we'll see if that changes. But for now, that is our go-to little annual ritual in the form of Microsoft Xbox Halo.
So I figured since I was talking about one RPG and I was talking about one that surpassed it, I should just go ahead and discuss the one that really surpassed Skyrim as just an incredible RPG experience. And that was called The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. That came out in 2015. And it's another action role-playing game with your third-person perspective. So that means you see your character down in the lower part of the screen and you control them and go around. So it's not first person is where you don't see any character. You are the character. You just see your hands or the gun. So you control Geralt of Rivia, who is a monster slayer known as a witcher. So witchers are monster slayers and they slay monsters for money. Geralt does all the typical moves. He has a variety of weapons, bombs, crossbow. He has 2 swords, one steel and one silver. The steel sword is primarily used for humans, while the silver sword is for creatures and monsters. And The Witcher 3 surpassed Skyrim for me because it just had more interesting stories and a really detailed world that was beautiful to live in. And I was captivated by how well it was crafted. And probably the biggest thing was there was no load times. If you went into a cave, you just walked into the cave. Wow. And in Skyrim, when you had to go to a cave, there was always that load. You go to the cave and say, do you want to enter the cave? Yes. And you wait. And it's amazing how you could just go in the cave. And to me, that was huge. It was huge. It was just, it made the world feel even more real, but the amount of stories they came up with. And then Gwent was a game within the game. You played Gwent in The Witcher. And you obviously didn't play against real people. You played against artificial opponents, but you won cards and you tried to get better at Gwent. It was a game within the game, which was fun. Geralt, this was a mature game. So Geralt could have romantic relationships with female characters. And I have a little story about that. To this day, I feel slightly like I was treated unfairly. But as Geralt, there's a woman named Yennefer who clearly we have a thing. And so I met up with Yennefer a few times during the game. And of course, we had some romantic time together. And then there's another female character named Triss, who is a mage. She has magic spells. And Triss and Geralt have also had a thing. So I would hook up with Triss as well. And at times, when I meet up with Triss, it would come to a point where we could have a romantic evening and I would have to make a decision on if I want to have that romantic evening or kind of just say, we're friends, take care. Well, I thought to myself at that point, when I had to make that decision, because I'd already been with Yennefer, and I thought, okay, Yennefer and I never discussed, I have my Dino hat on. We never discussed a commitment, okay? There was no discussion. I'm this guy, I have a lot of lonely nights. I wander this huge world alone at night. It's great to have the companion of a female. And
okay,
again,
I got to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
Quick question. So this Triss and Yennefer, right?
Yeah.
These are computer characters, right?
They are characters in the game, not real people.
Like, they're not like outside. Okay, all right,
No.
continue.
But they're important characters in the story. They're definitely a part of the story. They're,
understand the perspective. Okay.
So I made a decision to spend a romantic evening with Triss as well. And I thought,
why not?
I have not done anything wrong here. There was no commitment. Again, my inner Dino saying, did we discuss anything? No. Therefore, I should feel no guilt about this. So I thought, most, 99% of my evenings are alone as the Witcher. I'm traveling the world, slaying monsters, helping people, doing good things. So towards the latter part of the game, I got a message from Triss to meet her. So I went to meet her and Yennefer was there too. And they both said, we want you to come upstairs. And they both told me that they both have a thing for me and they understand and they want to have a thing together.
Ooh.
And I had to make a decision. Do I want to have that thing together with the two of them together? And I thought, yeah, why not?
Yes.
Clearly they're okay with it. So I made that decision and then they tied me to the bed and told me I was a loser for cheating on both of them and not telling one about the other. And they left me tied up in the room and they basically said, we're done with you. There's no more relationship with either of us. And it's like they high-fived each other as they went out the door.
Oh.
And I was sitting there thinking, I can't believe this. I mean, I did nothing wrong. And now I am punished. And the punishment of my decision in this role-playing game is that I now no longer these women will ever want to see me anymore. And so I was basically left to wander the planet alone like the Incredible Hulk.
That sucks. Wow.
For the rest of my days. And I just...
So what looked like was going to be the best night of your character's life turned out to be the worst night of his life and the start of just being alone after that point.
Well, and again, I could have said, no thanks, this isn't a good idea. And who knows, that might have saved me.
Maybe still hung out with one of them.
Have hung out with them later. But I clearly was punished for my decision. And, that's a good role-playing game where you make decisions and you live with the consequences. Now, I don't agree with the consequences. I still will raise my Dino hat and say, I did nothing wrong. There was no commitment discussed with anybody here. But yet I was ridiculed and I lost out. So, but that's just one of many stories.
So do you have Brett playing that game? What did he do?
I do not have Brett playing that game.
Oh, okay. Learning the ways of women early on.
No, that one,
because I have to wait.
Kind of. Yeah, not quite there yet. No, I let him play Skyrim. Skyrim's definitely a PG-13, but The Witcher is rated M for mature, and you have to be a little bit older to experience that one. But I figured I would share that story. And
so the nights that you said you had these romantic interludes with these women, so did you actually see something, or is it like the light turns off and it fades out and you wake up the next morning? Or is there more to it than that?
You see things. It's like a rated R movie.
How do you get this going again?
You ready to sign up? Well, and there's other female companions you meet and can have relationships with, and you make decisions. A lot of it is as you get to know these women. Obviously, if there's a spark, you get asked a lot of questions, and if you say the wrong thing, it can end right there. And so, if you're trying to get further along with the romance, you have to think about your answers.
Got to play your cards right,
which is great. I mean, I'll admit a few times I said the wrong thing, and so I went back to a previous save and I changed my answer.
Oh, if only life were like that.
I know.
Oops. Oh, did I say the wrong thing? Make the wrong move? Let me just rewind. Oh, now I know what to do.
That's the one nice thing about an RPG is you just save often, and you can always revert to a previous save in case you aren't happy with how things.
I've always there have been times in my life where I wish life had an undo button.
I agree.
That would be a good title for a movie, Undo. And it's like every time you do something stupid, you just hit the Control Z button and back up. And like, oh, that was dumb. Probably shouldn't have done that. Click. Let's just redo that moment for a second. That would be great if life had that. We'd be living in the rearview mirror all the time and fixing all of our bad things. But unfortunately, life doesn't have an autosave or an undo.
The success of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt turned into a series on Netflix called The Witcher Tales, starring what's his name, Superman, as Geralt. And it's really supposed to be a new Game of Thrones like series. I tried to watch a couple and I wasn't quite grabbing me, and one of my friends watched it and he said it got better, but I was going to ask you, Norb, maybe you give it a shot. I mean, I know you said you're looking for something to watch. It's on Netflix,
Witcher?
But The Witcher, it's who was the guy who played Superman? What's his name? The last Superman.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
He plays Geralt. But there's Yennefer, Geralt, there's Ciri, Triss, all the characters in the game. But it's really supposed to be the next Game of Thrones. But they are making a season 2, so it did get renewed. But I don't know. So if you're
give
it a try, let me know.
It's not very often that a video game spawns a successful TV show or movie franchise.
Well, you have to remember the video game is based on a series of books.
Oh, okay. So it went book to game to show.
Series, yeah.
Right?
So it's not the show based on the game. It's really the show based on the book that the game was based on as well.
All right. All right.
So,
well, I might have to take a peek and just see what it has to offer. Oh, yeah. Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'm getting ahead because I just have so few games to the list like you do. But I mean, this is my top of my list, and by far.
Well, I know what this one is.
I think I've talked about this before, but I don't know. It's going to take something incredible to top this as my favorite game of all time, and that would be Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a 2013 action-adventure game developed by Rockstar North and published by Rockstar Games. It is the first main entry in the Grand Theft Auto series since 2008's Grand Theft Auto 4, set within the fictional state of San Andreas based on Southern California. The single-player story follows 3 criminals and their efforts to commit heists while under pressure from a government agency and powerful crime figures. The open-world design lets players freely roam San Andreas, open countryside, and the fictional city of Los Santos based on Los Angeles. The game is played from either a third-person or first-person perspective, and its world is navigated on foot or by vehicle. And players control the 3 lead protagonists throughout the single player and switch among them, both during and outside missions. The story is centered on the heist sequences and many missions involving shooting and driving gameplay. A wanted system governs the aggression of law enforcement response to players who commit crimes. Grand Theft Auto Online, the game's online multiplayer mode, lets up to 30 players engage in a variety of different cooperative and competitive game modes. I got into this game kind of late. It came out in 2013. I didn't start playing it till you and some of your friends were already playing it. And it was when we were preparing to do our norb-cam Rivals video that takes place in the GTA 5 world. And that was my introduction to it. I felt I needed to learn the game so I could prepare properly to do this production. And in so doing, I got totally hooked. And I've been really hooked ever since. And it's been my kind of go-to game since that point. That was 6 years ago. And they've been talking about a new version coming out soon, because before that was 2008. So it took them about 5 years. It's been almost 7 years since this one came out, and still no official word of a sequel to this. I can't wait when it does. But man, this game, I had not played a sandbox game, and you're the one who introduced me to the idea of a sandbox, where basically you can just go where you want. You don't have to follow the rules of the mission that says you must accomplish this or get to this checkpoint. You have options to do that, but you can also just drive around, walk around, and just start messing with your world. And you mentioned the idea, this is the perfect game of a combination. You can do the long-term commitment to trying to get to the end or build things up, or you can do, like what you said, the Twitch experience, which is, I'm just in a mood right now where I want to, for 15 minutes, shoot a bunch of innocent bystanders and run people over with a car. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's what I love about this game. It's just so much, depending on your mindset, you can just go into a game and do totally different things with your character. You obviously have an arsenal of vehicles, an arsenal of weapons to choose from. And depending on how nice you want to be and how bad you want to be, you can just have as much fun. And there's games within the game that don't even have anything to do with what sounds like the game was entirely made of. A lot of times it's driving, shooting, eluding cops. That's a big part of the experience. But there's just other things you can do that have nothing to do with that. For example, I went to a tennis court and challenged an online guy to a game of tennis. I'd never played it before, but I quickly picked up the controls and figured it out. And for a game within a game, the controls are pretty good. It's like, wow, I can change my serves. I can backhand, put some spin on it. And the best part was this guy was kind of beating me in the beginning, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna get mopped because I've never played this before. And then I kind of figured things out, and I started beating the guy. And so I came from behind to win the match. But by the time it got to the final set where it was pretty much over, the best part, the guy had gone into give up mode, and instead of actually trying to play, I would just serve the ball and he would just either just sit there and let it go by, or he would like run around not trying to hit it. That was the best, because I've played games where I've had like my friend Jim go into give up mode where they just stop trying. It's better to stop trying than to keep losing while trying. And to watch the guy online where I can't see what he's saying, I can't see his face, but I know exactly what he's doing on the other line as I'm beating him at this game that he thought he had me in the bag. So that was probably one of the best things. And
you know how I talk about a GG at the end of Gwent?
Yeah.
I was expecting that at this tennis game, as you reach your hand to shake his hand, he shoots you in the head.
There's no GG. Yeah, that was the only thing that make it fun, is if in the middle of the game I could pull out a M16 and start blowing the guy away. But you can't do that. You actually have to finish the game and then you can go shoot the guy. But that was probably one of the funnest, most non-GTA moments in the game, was beating that guy in tennis and watching him give up. That was so awesome. But it's just so much fun. And really this game kind of came and found a new life in just since the quarantine began, because prior to that I was always playing either campaign mode or just running around against the computer, but I didn't really jump into the online side, which I talked about how they did Grand Theft Auto Online only a few years ago. I knew about it, but just never jumped in. Finally, I just decided to do it since we were in the quarantine side. And then I discovered a whole new world of playing with other people. And it was different because now you're not really doing missions, but you're doing more things competing with other people online. And there were some great things about it, and there's some things I really hate about it. And what I do hate about it is that there are some people in this world, obviously a lot of people have stuff that's souped up, much better weapons, so you don't have a chance sometimes. But somehow there are some people who have flying DeLoreans with rocket launching capabilities. And these guys just fly around and can go anywhere. And I don't know how you could even take them down. Maybe there's some way, but I've seen a bunch of these guys, and it just makes the game sometimes just no fun, because
that sucks.
You can just try to run and drive somewhere, and it's all of a sudden, you're just blown up, and you had no chance to defend yourself, fight back. unless you have a DeLorean of your own. And I don't know how to get one of these things. So it's kind of just, any kind of game where someone dominates too easily and there's not even a close competition is not a lot of fun. So there have been some nights where I don't even want to play that mode because it's just not even fun. It's not a fair fight at all. So there's some negatives to being in the online mode of things, but still, hands down, funnest game I've ever played. I'm so glad I finally discovered it when I did, because it's been a blast. I still to this day don't get tired of it. I've never even finished it. I've never gotten to the end of either the single campaign and I'm just starting the online version. So I feel like
I got the biggest kick out of that video you posted of parking that bus at the top of that overpass and just watching people just drive off, like just funneling everybody off, cops and people. Just that was hilarious. It's
hilarious, and you're talking about the NPCs. Yeah. This world has so many NPCs because you have cars, you have pedestrians, you have police officers, you've got EMTs, fire department, firemen, and they all have different motivations. But in that sample you talked about, it's on this video. You can actually watch it on this channel of me watching all these people fly off this freeway down into this to the street below, all careening into a big fireball, and the fire engines come in to try to put it out, and they blow up. I mean, it's such chaos, but it's fun to just watch all these little independent people doing their little things, and the computer somehow gives everyone their own life of what they should be doing in those situations, and it's fascinating to me. It's just that's what I love about this game. So many little things to details to look at, and yeah, it never gets old. Never gets old.
Yeah, it was fun to see you. You got better at that game than I did, and it was fun to see you kind of really take to it and figure out all these exploits, as we call them, things you could do just to mess around. And that is a true sandbox. I mean, just play how you want. And I love all kinds of games, and there is a time where that's what I like doing too. There's another game we'll talk about later that I did that a lot.
It'll be interesting to see what they do for the next version, because I mean, they've done so much already, but all I can imagine is they'll probably be putting it in a different city, another familiar city, like, I don't know, Las Vegas or New York or something like that. And that alone will be pretty cool to see, just to have a different world to explore. But what they've already created as elements in that world is already close to perfection. I don't know what they can do in the next level, but
everybody always wants to see bigger. They just want to see bigger space, more to do, more interesting things. I'm sure they're working on it now, like you said. So, all right. Well, my next game I have just started to play right now, and it is a sequel to a terrific game from 2013 called, the game I've started playing now is called The Last of Us Part 2. And The Last of Us Part 1 came out in 2013, and I should talk briefly about that. But this type of game, it's called an action-adventure survival horror game.
Still I think you showed me a bit back in the day. Wasn't that kind of a apocalyptic zombie-ish thing?
Yeah. The Last of Us is really, to me, like playing The Walking Dead. If you like The Walking Dead TV show, The Last of Us is like that, except you're playing in a world of zombies and different levels of zombies, and you're trying to survive. And there's bad zombies, bad people, just like Walking Dead. That's why I like it. It's fun in that way, and really, what I have to nod my hat to, though, is Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann was the director of The Last of Us Part 1, and he's the game director of Part 2. And this guy, of all the people I've studied, he is the ultimate perfectionist. And he spends so many years directing a team to make these games like a true cinema game playing experience, where it's like playing a movie. I mean, the characters are thought out. Their dialogue is impactful, emotional. They play with your emotions playing this game. You care about these characters, and I tried to get you to play The Last of Us. I had you play it when we were on a trip together, and you didn't take to it. Remember, you tried it, and it's too bad, because I thought for sure you would you would want to keep playing it because I know you like The Walking Dead, and that is like playing The Walking Dead. And
I remember, I have vague memory of it, but I didn't jump in. It wasn't necessarily I didn't like it. It's just didn't pull the trigger. But you're on the second one already now.
Yeah, I've started it, and it's one of those games where I'm trying to savor every moment because I don't hurry along. I try to explore every nook and cranny. I try to look for all the little secrets they've hidden, and I'm taking my time because this is the kind of game where I'm not in a hurry to get it done because I don't want it to be over because it's an experience that I know I'm going to remember, just like The Last of Us. And the coolest thing about The Last of Us 2 is I've gotten just far enough to know most of it takes place in Seattle. So
that's cool.
It's a post-apocalyptic Seattle, so most of the city has been overtaken by vegetation and growth. You know, it's reclaimed. The buildings, there's vines everywhere. But I just got to Seattle, so it was fun. I basically came up I-5 North on a horse with my friend, and of course they've got signs that says I-90 Seattle, and it's just awesome. So cool. It's so familiar. And of course I'm thinking, oh yeah, I know where we are. And I'm thinking, okay, that bridge was never there.
I was going to say, how much of the real downtown Seattle do you actually see accurate building representations?
I think it's accurate. I mean, they've tried to map it out, but then they've taken some creative liberties with adjusting a little here and there. But it's great. I mean, and I just got there. I'm just getting started. I'm probably 5% into this game. So, but it's exciting that they picked Seattle as really the main hub of most of the story from what I know. Obviously, I've been very careful. I don't read spoilers on this game. I try not to read anything, but it's gotten 10 out of 10 reviews off the board just from game site to game site. And I've been waiting for this game a long time. So I'm still going to play Gwent, and The Last of Us 2, I'll just kind of chip away at it, but I'm not in a hurry to complete it. So, but boy, yeah, they started off with a bang. I didn't get too far, and things went south quick in ways I wish they hadn't. But you know, when you like characters, it's hard to see what happens to some of them, but that's a good game. But Neil Druckmann, I've watched a lot of videos with him and listened to him talk, and he could be a good film director, but he's very meticulous. Probably could be a difficult film director too, because he's just very, very anal about every little detail. I mean, it's astounding how he'll bring an actor back in because of an inflection in their voice on one line. He wants to tweak a little. And
maybe
it's impressive.
He's one of those guys, he's perfect for a video game, but maybe wouldn't do so good on a film.
Could be right.
Because the time constraints on a video game, it seems like they aren't quite as, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like they can work in a much more longer term way versus in a movie. It's always that, okay, we got to get through this day. This day's got to be done here. And you're always against the clock versus it feels like in the video game world that there's not such the linear, type of thing. Maybe not. Maybe it's just as stressful, but that's pretty cool. Remind me what the look of it is, because I don't remember in my mind. Is it the same look like I don't know what you call the GTA 5 look? Is that sort of real, normal 3D, or is that a look? And does yours have a look in that
it's kind of
Last of Us movie?
It's third person, so you see your character, but really it's a Walking Dead look. It's think of just everywhere you go, it's abandoned gas stations and abandoned cars and there's
but people look normal. They look like people, animated characters who are supposed to look as real as people are supposed to look.
Well,
right?
there's bad humans. Just like in The Walking Dead, there's factions of humans that kill other humans and are bad, and they're your enemies. And then there's zombies that they call them the infected. In Walking Dead or Last of Us, they're the infected. But there's levels of infected. There's like zombie-like humans that just, a lot of times they're just in a corner going, you have to sneak up behind them and take them out or they'll try to kill you. But then you get tougher infected that are harder to kill, and there's new infected that I don't quite know, but I've read that they're pretty scary, and when you avoid them, or when you come into contact with them, you may just want to try to stay away. But one interesting thing in Last of Us 2, and I haven't gotten this far, but I read about it, is that they've introduced dogs that track you. So a lot of the bad factions have dogs, and apparently you have a scent. And your scent, you can look at your scent by hitting a button. It'll show you your scent, where you've been. And apparently you can't really hide out too long because the dogs will find you.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
What they're saying is anyone who's a dog lover, this is a tough game for them because really the way you've got to take care of the dogs is you got to kill them. And that's hard for dog lovers out there. I've read that a lot of dog lovers, I've read reviews where the guy says, Rover's my best friend and my real Rover in my life. And it's killing me to kill these dogs. He said, if you want my advice, you have to take them out. Because if you don't, they will find you. So it's a new element of the game. And I haven't gotten that far. So I haven't.
I know in Grand Theft Auto, there are times when you have to kill a dog because you might have some guy sick his dog on you and you got to shoot it down. There's not a lot of them, but
same thing
that has come across, but probably not as essential of an element as yours is.
Oh, there you go. Do you have another game to talk about?
So, like I said, Grand Theft Auto was sort of the top of my list. I'll just kind of mention this as more of a side thing, just because it's going on right now. My girls, Sophie and Vanessa, 15 and 13, they've sort of refound their love for Minecraft. And I don't know if your boys still play it. I know that everybody was playing it at one point.
They do.
I think dropped off. They still play?
Oh yeah, Brett and his friends spend a lot of evenings building their own Minecraft worlds. They're crafting buildings and they work really hard at it.
Okay. Well, so my girls have sort of found this. I think just because of this quarantine, they've sort of found the fun of playing together on it, and it's great to see. They enjoy it. Vanessa's actually taken not just playing the game, but she has decided to write her own stories based on some of her Minecraft worlds. She likes to write, so she actually is. I haven't read the stories yet. She just won't let me look at it. She's like, I'm still working on it. So she has these different worlds and these different characters in it, and that she's made stories of. So it's fun. They still enjoy it. They still have to kind of go to it and just have they don't play online. They just play the two of them, on the game system themselves together. But they can still go for hours and have a great time. Depending on, they might do the competitive thing where they're trying to kill each other, or they'll just play and build stuff, or they'll role play and pretend like they're characters in the show and act them out as they go. So it's neat to see them re-exploring that again, and then seeing Vanessa go into the writing, letting that be the inspiration for her writing. So that was something I'd not seen coming. So it's just fun to see that because of this extra time spent at home these days, it sort of forced them to go back to playing that because they hadn't played it in a while, and this kind of rekindled that love of that game. So it's one of the few games that they play as far as together. That's kind of like the only video game really, and occasionally a couple other games, but this is the one, definitely the go-to one that they enjoy doing. So Minecraft's still alive and well in our house. It sounds like it is in yours too.
Yep, it is. A game I was going to mention that's Minecraft-like, if they ever get bored of Minecraft, you might ask them if they've ever heard of Terraria.
They've never mentioned that game before.
Just ask
you
them,
have.
But they may have. Just ask them if they've heard of it. Terraria came out in 2011, and Terraria is really a Minecraft game, but it's all side-scrolling 2D. So just think of Minecraft reduced down to side-scrolling 2 dimensions, where the whole world is up, down, left, right. But it's
like
huge.
Super Mario when it first came out.
Super Mario, yep. Super Mario Minecraft. But you're a character and you can dig down into, there's all kinds of worlds underground. There's minerals, you mine stuff, you build houses, you protect yourself from bad guys. There's boss battles. You can explore, fight. So, do your thing, play with others. You can have others come into your world and you can work together on things. And that's another game Brett and Kyle really like to play. And I played a little bit. Byron really got into Terraria. He got into that really hard. So Terraria is ask them if they've heard of it. They might have. You can play it on the Xbox too. It's on the Xbox.
All right. So what do you got on your
Well, I was going to mention Borderlands 3. Were you going to mention Borderlands 3? I know you gave it a shot.
Well, let's just talk about that one together since we did play it. You did introduce it to me. So, but I'll let you do the intro. You know it better. You could probably describe it a little bit better in more accurate terms. I could just add my limited experience in playing it for a little bit.
Well, those of you watching on the YouTube channel, my t-shirt is a Borderlands reference. Fiona is a character from a Borderlands game, not Borderlands 3, but I'll let you figure out where she's from. Borderlands 3 is a first-person loot shooter. So shoot and loot, as we call it. And you play with others or play by yourself, parties up to 4 people. You design a character from one of 4 classes, and each character class has different abilities. And after that, you just play with, Borderlands 3 is the most fun playing with a friend. And it's all about shooting and looting and going through quests. The best thing going for the Borderlands franchise has always been the humor. They have really funny characters that say funny stuff that makes you laugh, and that just makes it more fun to play. And you and I, Norb, I got you to play it with me, made some videos, and I unfortunately so far you're still working through the learning curve, and there is a learning curve. And it's like my friend David summed it up watching you play. He said it's a good reminder of what gets in the way of fun at the beginning.
That's what I was talking about. Just that part when you're still learning and you can't just play. You're still stumbling on yourself on trying to do little basic things that somebody else just doesn't even think about. But we had gone through the first wave, and then I think you'd given me some tips on just different configurations to try with custom buttons on the mouse, and I was going to try a whole different approach, and then I never quite got into 2.0. And not to say I'm not going to, but I just hadn't launched into it. So we're kind of in the in-between mode where I need to get season 2 of me playing on it again, and with the new revamped controls, and hopefully that'll make the experience a little more smoother. But I did enjoy it. It was fun to do a game that I hadn't played before, jumping full on in, and even making videos at the same time. But never been in a game where there were so many guns. I mean, it was so amazing how many different types of weapons there are. And I mean, I quickly lost track. I would have known the difference between one. You were trying to explain to me, oh, this gun is a level, this gun, and you want to get this. And again, it's that not only is there a physical challenge of learning what to do, there's the psychological, mental challenge, which you learn to just go, oh, I need to get that, I need to do this, I need to swap this. But when you don't know yet second nature, you're like, okay, what is that again? It's level 2, so I should switch. Where's that switch button? So there's all those things take 10 times as long compared to a habit player. You can just go, oh, okay, let's go. So I'm still in that struggling mode of getting past the how-to and what am I supposed to do again? And so that obviously was part of the slow progress of me continuing along the destination. But man, it's first-person shooter heaven. I mean, there's just so many different targets and vehicles and things to run, and like I said, the humor with the different character interactions. It reminded me of when we would play campaign on Halo, which we didn't do a lot of, but it reminded me of that, except with a lot more humor and a lot more guns, a lot more powerful guns. So I'm looking forward to jumping back in there, trying out the new configurations, and hopefully that can get me past that hump to where it's like, okay, I can just
and again,
now.
Before we play together again, you really should just play a little by yourself.
Right, got to practice.
Just give yourself that time to where you don't feel that pressure like there's someone else who's kind of waiting for you to, even though I was never waiting for you, I know what you were going through. But it gives you a chance to just figure things out a little bit on your own pace. So.
Well, it'll make the time together played more rewarding, I think, than it is when there's more struggle than I think achievement in the process of, trying to make the most of this multi-hour session that you have with somebody else playing. So, but yeah, it was a fun game, and it's a cool look. That's why I was asking about the look of the other one, of the last ones, or what's it called again? Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
Because Borderlands definitely has a unique look to it that's got don't know, it's like a line art type look to it. So it has a slight comic book-ish look, yet it's
No, The
still
Last
3D.
of Us is pretty standard. It's like,
Okay.
looks like GTA. It's just, different world, but people
Yeah,
look like
Borderlands
people.
definitely has a unique look to it. It's just
Yeah,
that
line
extra
art.
little pencil lining outline that they do that makes it not quite
It's different.
just regular 3D. It's different. And I haven't seen a lot of games that had that look. So that was kind of another unique, cool thing about it.
Yeah. Well, a couple of games I'll just mention real quick is God of War, which there's been a lot of God of War games. The last
Kurt
one they
likes that
made.
game.
What's that?
I think Kurt likes that game. Isn't Kurt used to play God of
I
War?
think he used Gears of War.
Gears of War. Okay, wrong war. G of War. Wrong one. Okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
you're close. Gears of War. I tried one, couldn't quite hit it, but I probably didn't give it enough time. But God of War is you played as Kratos over many, many games. Started with the PlayStation 2, and the last version was for the PlayStation 4, and you were in the Norse mythology. But God of War had just really good story writing, interesting characters, definitely some world, a little RPG elements. They've increased that. I played it to the end. Darn good game. Glad I did. So that is definitely one worth checking out. The surprise of the year probably for me was one called Horizon Zero Dawn, which I was just searching a good RPG on the PlayStation 4 because I just finished God of War and that came up, and it came out in 2017, and so it was cheap, so I gave it a shot and I got totally hooked. You play as a female protagonist named Aloy. She's a hunter who ventures through a post-apocalyptic land ruled by robotic creatures. It's different. All the creatures look like creatures you'd recognize, from dinosaurs to elephants, but they're all robots. So it's different, but cool. But you get into the detail of this world and the story writing, and again, it unfolds a greater story underlining what happened. Why is the world like this? And highly recommend. I got my friend Dave to play it. He's a 3D artist friend of mine. I said, you have got to play this. I know you'll like it. And I sent him a copy of the game. I said, you got to play it. And he did, and he got hooked. He played it to the end. I didn't even finish it. I got close, and I read they're going to release it for PC in the next month or so, and I thought I might play it on PC because then I can get a graphical upgrade, because I really like good graphics in games. So I will revisit it at that point. But good game. Good game. Very, very well made. I'm glad they're making a sequel. They announced a sequel already. It's going to come out with the PlayStation 5 when it launches this holiday season.
Okay.
So that's all I have on my list except my dishonorable mention. Do you have any game you tried the last 10 years, Norb, that just sucked? You gave it a shot and was like, this sucks. I'm done.
Not really. I think I was just going to mention casually in passing that I realized, a game I did play for a spell, I was pretty into it. I don't play a lot of games, even on my phone. I know a lot of people have phone games, but there was a time when I was into Angry Birds. I never got to a point of playing to pay, but I did play Angry Birds, and, we all never knew how big that thing was going to grow to become movies and all the merch that came from that. And I don't know if it's still as popular now, but I did have a time when I was playing that a lot. I was, and trying to knock those things over. I was pretty addicted for a while. I haven't touched it in quite a while, but at the time it came out, I remember I was definitely hooked. And I never got into that trap of doing the pay for play games on the phone. And there's a ton of them. That one too, I think if you really got into it, you could have put money into it as well.
No, but you know what sucks about Angry Birds is that you have to deal with those ads. There's no way. In the early versions, you could buy it and then it would turn off the ads. But now they will not let you. You basically are stuck with ads, and I hate that. I don't want ads while I'm gaming, and that's why I got off the Angry Birds bandwagon, because I didn't like being forced to deal with ads. I hated it. And I read that they put a lot of stuff on your phone that tracks what you're doing. So I gave up on it because it was fun.
Angry Birds.
Well, I have a dishonorable mention, which is I had to think about it for a while, because most games I play are always fun in one way or another, but there's one, and unfortunately this one was fun, but it was a bust as far as the campaign. And that is a game called Just Cause 4. And this came out in 2018. And I know you remember I was playing the crap out of Just Cause 3, which I think I even gave you an Xbox One disc of Just Cause 3 as saying, I think you'd like this because it's a sandboxy type experience. And Just Cause 3 was great. I mean, you play as Rico Rodriguez, and it's just all about infiltrating bases. You never run out of ammo. It's always ammo. It's just shoot forever. And the fun is watching things blow up. I mean, half of all the enemy strongholds always have big gas tanks. It's very convenient. They have these giant gas tanks at every enemy base that are just waiting for you to shoot up
to be exploded.
And watch them blow up into fireballs and take things with them. And Just Cause 3, you have this harpoon system where you can attach yourself to things and fly around like Spider-Man. But in fact, I was showing it to you and Rob, and you guys are both telling me, why don't you harpoon those NPC innocent bystanders and see what happens when you harpoon them to a car driving by. So I did it. So I harpooned a person, attached them to the car, and they go, ah! And then the car drives away, just dragging them down the road.
That was pretty cool.
You guys thought that was the greatest thing ever. And so Just Cause 4 came out, and I was really excited about that. And they added the ability to, in addition to all the harpoon fun, they added the ability to, you can attach like inflatable helium balloons to things. So a car goes by and you can zap it with a balloon, and the balloon lifts the car up in the air. And then when it gets really high, you can shoot the balloon, and then the car falls and blows up when it hits the ground. So you could then add balloons to people. So you could balloon an NPC and they get raised up in the air, and you shoot the balloon and they fall to the ground and bounce. And it was very fun. And I got very crafty with just trying, sometimes probably like you in GTA, I'd fire up the game and all I would do is just get creative, just see what I could blow up in this intersection. And I'd barely do any more of the story. And that's what gets into why this is a dishonorable mention, because the story, they changed the whole mechanic. In Just Cause 3, you infiltrated bases, and the more you did, it opened up more parts of the world. Just Cause 4, there was this confusing thing about how you have to defeat enough enemies, and then the balance of power changes in the area. And once that happens, you're supposed to do this, and it's confusing. It's like taxation of trade routes. You're like, what? I don't understand. I just want to blow up that base and open up that part of the world, and then go a little further and complete these challenges. And in Just Cause 4, I didn't understand, and I wasn't the only one, because it was poorly reviewed, and all reviewers said the same thing. It's confusing, convoluted system of progression. And what it was, I guess they felt like they needed to change things up and make it different, and someone had an idea, let's do this will be cool. And we just wanted more of the same. It's like when they come out with GTA 6, you want to be able to do the same things you're doing now, but then maybe more. And Just Cause 4, right, unfortunately,
or in a different world,
you could do the same things, but you still want to kind of open up the world and progress through the campaign. I mean, you just do. And so sadly, it was a bust. I stopped playing it, and I wasn't the only one. So I'm guessing there will be a Just Cause 5. I have not heard, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with great fanfare and say, we've listened to the fans and we're reverting back to what you want. Companies love to do that. They love to, when they don't ever admit failure, but they love to come out and say, when they're ready, we're listening to you fans.
We're doing what you asked for of us.
They just never fixed the game that was broken. They just quietly said nothing about that.
All right, well, just the next one. Hey, we're doing what you guys want for this next one.
But we're not going to admit we screwed up in the last one.
Yeah, like you said, they don't like to admit that they did something wrong. Sounds like that's just what you don't want to ever do in the gaming world.
Just Cause 3, Norb, I still recommend Just Cause 3 is, if you're just ever really bored with GTA, Just Cause 3, I know you would have fun, because you blow up a lot of stuff and there's great explosions.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Just Cause 3 because it ties into a project I was working on with one of our producer friends in California, and he was involved with doing these sort of side videos.
Oh, that's right.
To help promote the game. I think it was to promote 3, but maybe it was to promote 4. I don't remember the timing of when it was, but it was a series of shorts that involved blowing up real stuff. And I think it might have had some of the characters who voiced the show. I really didn't know the game, so I didn't know who the people were who were in this video. But they would basically have somebody say, hey, guess what? We're going to blow up a bunch of bananas and see what that looks like. Yeah, let's go do it. So then they'd have a guy talking about all the primacord and all the dynamite or whatever they're using. And then they'd rig all these cameras, some of them with super high-speed slow-mo. And then they'd show these things blown up. Something that's really slow, and they just get that aerial angle, all these different angles of stuff blowing up. And my job was to basically mix and sound design the whole thing so the explosions have this really cool, thunderous sound to it. It's a fun project. I mean, things blowing up. I mean, how can you go wrong with working on that? It was so we did several things. One was bananas, another one was a car, another one was a bunch of barrels and stuff, and then another one was some other bunch of things. But I remember the first one was the bananas one. And then they released it out, and I remember they got a bunch of flack because instead of being this cool, oh, that was awesome, it was like, how can you guys go about blowing up and wasting a bunch of bananas? That's food that could go feed some people, in another nation. It's such a waste. And so they got all this backlash. They had to take it down because the bananas thing, just, watching all this fresh banana stuff just going to waste was, a lot of people went online and they didn't like it. So it was interesting how that kind of backfired on them, at least on that particular one.
What do you blow up without upsetting anyone?
Yeah, who knew that there'd be such a big deal? But, yeah, that was fun, but that was related to the Just Cause.
Did you do some music that
so.
sounded like, yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today.
Oh. Hey-oh, it's a day-oh, daylight come and we wanna go. But no, I didn't do the music on that one. It was just something more your typical type of rock music stuff. But yeah, funny memory though with Just
Rico
Cause.
Rodriguez is a fun character. I mean, Just Cause 3, every time you launch the game, that loading screen, it shows Rico on a beach drinking a glass of whiskey and a big explosion goes off in the foreground and he raises his glass to it. I mean, that right away tells you what kind of game you're in for. If you like explosions,
yeah.
And Rico's best line that you hear all the time whenever you strap an NPC to a car or accidentally shoot him, Rico always says, I probably shouldn't be doing that. Then he does it all the time. So that's all he says. You don't ever get punished for any of that. He just says, I probably shouldn't be doing that.
That's what we always think before we're about to do something bad.
So, I don't know, Norb, you could play it. You've got the disc.
I might have to.
It's fun.
Try it on for size.
Fun game. Because 4 was a bomb, sadly. So 3 was awesome. 3 was good. I played that all the way to the end. I got to the point where I could get this big, huge plane. You could take over this big plane. I know in GTA you can get planes too. In 3, you get this big army military carrier, and I had to do it. I had to take it off to see if I could do it. And I did. Took it off, flying around.
Well, that was like the feeling for me. We tried so many times in GTA to steal the fighter jet, and we did it on some of our trips and couldn't do it, and got close and got shot down. Finally, I did it. Finally, I succeeded in stealing the jet, and man, that was a great feeling because I couldn't believe it. I stole the jet. It was incredible. I actually stole the GTA military jet, and I had to do it by myself. But when I finally got that jet, it was a pretty awesome feeling. Yeah. So I have it saved now, so I can always go to a game where I have the jet saved, and it's pretty fun to be able to drive over the city and just blow up cars with missiles and with guns and stuff. So it's pretty fun. Yeah. Well, you got a surprise finish to this?
I do. I have a lot of video game collectible memorabilia. Talking to the mic here. A lot of video game collectible memorabilia. I got to reach down and pull this out. But this was a collectible I got from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. This game has a lot of dragons in it, and you can see that's Alduin, one of the big dragons in the game. Cool. And this was a really cool collectible that I got back in 11/11/11. It came with my PlayStation 3 collectible ring. Even get him in focus there.
That's pretty awesome.
And I got this at the GameStop in Sammamish that is no longer. When we first moved up here, they had a GameStop there, and it's sadly closed. So when I drive by that building, I always remember being in line for my Skyrim game. So that is a neat collectible that I like having. It's cool.
Well, I'm going to throw a spur of the moment surprise to show as well. And this is kind of a surprise show of how pathetic I can be with these games. I tell you, sometimes there's games I want to play, and there have been even some games that I bought and I still never even got to play them because I just never got around to them. So a couple of games are still shrink wrapped.
Nice.
I have Madden 18 right here with Tom Brady on the cover. Never cracked the seal. So last time I played it was 17. I had this disc. I think you gave me this disc. Never opened it. And then this game, which Battlefront 2 Star Wars, looked really cool. I remember seeing a lot of ads for it. I thought, I can't wait to play that. So I went out and bought it. And it's
Where's your Just Cause 3 disc that I gave you? Got that handy?
I was trying to find it. It was, it's somewhere around here. Where'd it go? I thought it was in the same pile, but apparently it shifted. Nope, I don't have the Just Cause 3 candy.
All right.
It was all kind of part of that same unwrapped pile. It's probably on another shelf, but
well, it's sometimes when you buy the case and you hold it in your hand, it's almost like you're playing it, right?
I mean, I don't know how many. I'm sure most kids, as soon as you buy those discs, the moment you hit the door and you hit your house, it's going into the system. How many people can say they bought the games and as soon as they ran home, put it on the shelf and never opened it for?
Well, you ran home and you walked in the door and all these things hit you. Norb, you need to do this. Norb, Dad, help me with my homework. Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m.
But if there was a time to do it, it would probably be right now when we're still in this strangely stuck at home, feel right now. So maybe I'll be able to crack the seal on some of these, but we'll see. But
all right. Well, hope you enjoyed that.
That's it. All right. Well, so hopefully maybe there's some games you might want to try out now that you've heard a little bit about them. But appreciate you guys watching on YouTube. You can hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell button. It helps our channel immensely. And for everybody who's listening, thanks for sticking around and joining us on this little talk about video games on the podcast. Keep listening, tell your friends about it, and send us a message in a comment or an email. Let us know what you think of the show. And if you have any things you'd like to have us talk about, we'd love to hear from you. All right. I'm Norb.
I'm Mike.
And we are the Watchmen.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching The Watchmen.
Please click on here to watch other episodes, and be sure to hit that like button too.
And please subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll always be alerted to any future episodes.
It really helps us out, and we appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. And remember, we'll be watching.